Good morning, Hans.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I think I've got everything pointed in the right direction.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
That's an awesome thing.
it can be.
A moment ago, you and I were having a brief conversation about going to the dentist.
Yes.
And you were saying that at one point you had a bad experience, which really stuck with you in your head, which made you want to delay the next visit.
Yeah, and I'm kind of right. I'm in the delay mode now. I went to a place that my dad used to swear by. My dad, bless his heart, and may he rest in peace, was the cheapest SOB on the planet. When I was newly married, I'd go over to his house and, hey, Dad, you got any beer? Oh, yeah, there's some out in the refrigerator. Go ahead and help yourself. Well, bring me one too. And I'd go out and I'd open the refrigerator and I'd look around. I see all these aluminum cans, but I don't see any beer. What? And I looked at one, says all grain beer. What the heck is this?
No barley, no hops.
I think it's whatever was left over. Yeah. They used it. And I walked out and said, what in the world is this? He said, oh, that's not bad. Where did you get it? Well, I got it at Walgreens. Okay.
Walgreens.
Why? Because it was 99 cents a six pack. Oh, God. And you know what? I tasted it. It was overpriced. It was horrible. But he would always do that. He'd buy the cheapest thing that he could and then complain because it broke or it wasn't any good. Yeah. But later on in life, after my mom passed, he started going to a place called Midwestern University, which is on the west side of Phoenix, probably technically in Peoria, out off of 59th Avenue and Union Hills area.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And it is a university and they have several colleges there, one of which is a dental college. And I took him several times to the dental college because it's a lot cheaper than going to a full-fledged dentist. And they always have a dentist, a licensed dentist there. And he supposedly always checks the student's work. And so a process that would normally take 30 minutes at a dentist's office may take 2 visits going to Midwestern, because you got 4 different people, students, checking you and coming to a conclusion. And then the dentist has to come over, check you for the 5th time to see if everybody got the right answer. Okay, yes, we did. Let's move on to step 2. And so it just drags and drags and drags. But if you don't have insurance and don't have a lot of cash, it certainly is an option. Last time I went out there, I had a severe toothache. And yep, diagnosis was, and this was on the 3rd visit, you got a bad tooth. They had taken x-rays and done all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
And so, okay, fine. So they pull it and sent me home. And the next morning I wake up, my tooth still hurts. Oh, we have to pull the next one.
They pulled the wrong tooth.
Yeah. So they finally got it right. Now it's on the bottom over here. The dentist that they had working with him, he was older than me. Should not have been working. But I go in there like a week, maybe 2 weeks after the second tooth had been pulled. And so now the dentist wants to look. And he's got a sharp probe in his hand. And I'm thinking, why do you have that? It's just gum now, you know? Yeah. And so he's looking around and then he jabs the pointy part into my gum. I mean, that just touches it, but he jabs it.
Wow.
And I jump. What are you doing? I thought I saw a tooth down there. No, that's just bone and gum. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Well, sorry. And I'm feeling around with my tongue. I realize I'm bleeding. I was like, can we get some gauze or something and get the bleeding to stop? Oh, yeah. Charlie, you want to take care of him? And he walks off, and the student says, oh, my God, I'm so sorry that happened. So the problem was not only with the students, but with the old instructor. And I just, I don't think I'm going to go back.
Well, that sounds like a place I would not go to either.
No.
I just recently had a bad experience with a dental group here. And they were poking around and probing because I want to get my teeth checked. The ones that needed fixing, want to get them fixed or pulled, whatever.
Sure.
And she's in there just poking around and pulling. And it wasn't long, and my teeth are starting to crack and break apart. It's like if you left it alone, it'd been all right.
Wow.
Leave that piece of salami in there. It'll be okay.
It's there for a reason.
They took
it's holding that guy up.
I just think the incompetence of a dentist is, you're right. You don't want to go back there.
We can do that. I had a dentist growing up. I mean, he wasn't growing up. He was already grown, but I was growing up. Actually, I was in high school, I guess, when I probably first met him. He happened to be a member of the church that I belonged to, and happened to be our starting pitcher on the fast pitch softball team that I was on. And he was a pretty good pitcher. Funny guy though. I just love the guy. So I started going to him, and he turned out he was a heck of a dentist. And I really enjoyed going to him. And he did a lot of work. And then he retired. I thought, you can't do that. He goes, yeah, watch me. And he did. Yeah. And I have not found a dentist of that caliber since. And that was probably 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's bad. When I was in Colorado, I needed to go to a dentist, found a dentist in Monument, Colorado, between Colorado Springs and Denver. Yeah. And turns out she was a veteran. She was a retired Army dentist. She thought she was still in the Army.
No.
What do you mean that hurts? Suck it up, soldier. She was very abrasive. I didn't like that. And then she said, then it got worse. Then she said, all right, well, we need to get you to come back in, and so we can do this and whatever. How about Tuesday at 10? I said, no, that won't work. Well, why not? Well, because that's when I get chemo, because I was fighting my cancer battle back then. And boy, she jumped back, put her hands up like I had leprosy. She goes, chemo? I said, yeah, I've got cancer. Oh, hell no, I'm not going to do any work on you. You're probably going to die anyway. Don't even worry about it.
She told you that?
She told that to my face. And she turned around, and as she was walking out of the room, something came out of my mouth that probably shouldn't have, but it was rather aggressive and rather abusive. And it didn't bother her a bit. She just kept on going. But I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Oh, my God.
How dare you? Now I understand in talking to other dentists that if you're on chemo, you probably shouldn't have dental work done, depending on what it is, because I don't know if it's anesthetic that doesn't do well with the chemo. I don't know what it is, but there is a medical reason for it. But for a dentist to say you're probably going to die anyway, I thought, actually that gave me the will to live. As you know, I was told initially, or I wasn't told. I was later told that the surgeon who opened me up for exploratory surgery told his team, this guy's not going to make it through the night. I give him 6 hours. And here I am, but yeah, if there's a good dentist out there, let us know.
Yeah.
You know, serving the West Valley,
Yeah.
I know there's got to be some out there, but I don't know why I don't know. There just seems to be a lot of dentists that aren't as good as they should be. And in fact, my last dentist I went to in Colorado started out to be really good and kept saying, I'm so sensitive when it comes to pain and I want to make sure and this and that, whatever. And he was doing a root canal and the back molar on my right side. And he kept, I kept saying, Doc, that's really hurting. And he kept giving me Novocaine more and more. And finally he said, I can't give you any more. I said, well, then finish it up. And he was doing a radio show for me too on Mile High Radio. And he finally said he got everything. I don't think he did because to this day, it can still hurt. Well, if there's no nerve in there.
Yeah, it shouldn't hurt.
It shouldn't hurt. So, but then he never did the crown. I had a problem. He at one time told me when I was telling him what it was going to cost for him to do a show, he says, money's no object. I've got more money than God. I thought, really? God, I need 5 more of you as show hosts and I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
And so one day I happened to say, hey, Doc, your payment's past due. And he got really upset. He said, it's always all about you, isn't it? I said, what? No, it's not about me. It's just that you have this agreement and, I wasn't charging a whole bunch of money, but he got really upset and stormed out of the studio, came back in and said, and screw you and your root canal or the crown. He never did the crown, but he charged the insurance company for it. Okay. And I told him, Doc, that is insurance fraud.
That's fraud. Yeah.
And he never paid me, and I'm sure never changed his claim to the insurance company. But which reminds me of another story, but we'll do that later. But anyway, it's totally crazy. But yeah, if there's anybody knows of a good dentist on the west side of Phoenix, northwest preferably, that makes house calls too. Let's if we're going to describe the dentist we want. You come to my place, bring your chair and all your tools.
And a hammer and a chisel.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've watched the Flintstones too many times.
Yeah. And the problem is, and I did have another dentist tell me this. He says, the problem with going to a dentist, most people don't go until they're in a lot of pain. And so the dentist can't really do anything except cause you more pain until he can isolate what the problem is and then deaden that area.
Yeah.
But initially it's going to be even worse. If you had a good dentist and you went to see him on a regular basis, he could see, hey, we got a problem coming up right here. And I didn't even know, but he could get it taken care of. Yeah. So that's what we need.
That's what we need. I know a lot of folks here go down to Yuma and go across the border.
Really?
And because let's face it, it's pretty cheap over there. It's
yeah,
about
it
1/3 the price of any kind of dental work. And I actually know some people have gone down there and got the bargain teeth put in, so forth.
Yeah.
And they came back here and they're in pain for months and eventually go to a U.S. dentist to get it fixed.
Yeah.
So you'll hear a lot of people praise about it. If you need a filling, okay. But if you need a tooth replacement, anything like that, then I do it here in the States.
There was a lady I got to meet and got to know very well in Colorado. Her name, I don't know her last name. Don't know that I ever did. First name is Amanda. But she started a restaurant called Amanda's Fonda. And then it grew to 2 restaurants. Absolutely, positively best Mexican food in all of Colorado. Because it was more similar to Arizona and California Mexican food than the normal Mexican food in Colorado. But she was just amazing. And In fact, while I was going through chemo for a year, she told me, you need to come to my restaurant and you need to continue to eat the red chili that you like. That she was the only one that had it, Chili Colorado. And she says, because it will make you better. And I said, but I'm not working right now. She says, I understand. While you're on chemo, you eat here for free. And my wife and I ate there for free for a year. And when I got my final checkup that the cancer was gone and I was done with chemo, we thought we'd celebrate. We went into her restaurant that night and I had my final exam with a big smiley face that the doctor had put on there in highlighter yellow, saying that, I was done. And so I told her, I said, look, good news, I'm done. Chemo's all done. And so I stood up, she gives me a hug. We're both crying. And she says, this is great news. I says, well, why do you think it's great news? She says, because tonight you pay. And I did, but her family was from Mexico. And she was down in Mexico with her husband for a visit and had a heart attack. And ended up going to a Mexican hospital. They had to do surgery on her. The surgery was successful, but then she got an infection that she picked up while she was in the hospital, and she didn't survive that. And that tells me I don't want to go down there. We can talk smack about our medical system here, but I think it's still pretty doggone good.
Oh,
and
absolutely. But
but it's just gotten really, really expensive. And that's a whole series of shows right there as to why. And I'm like, Robin Fisher, registered nurse, did a show for us in Colorado, and she opened my eyes to so many things wrong with today's medical system. It's amazing. It really is.
Wouldn't it be nice if we had a doctor do one of our shows
I'd love it.
or do a show on K-Heat Radio? So if anybody out there knows anybody that'd be interested in doing something like that, hey, give us a call or give us a jingle or send us a message or let us know somehow.
My own doctor, I've asked him if he would do it because he's easy to talk to. So many doctors talk over my head, but this guy, he talks in language that I can understand and is not trying to be arrogant or intimidating. And it turned out, and I just happened to find him. I've got a list of doctors that my insurance company will pay, and
Sure.
He was on this list, and I thought, sounds like a good guy. Michael Johnson. I mean, all-American boy,
Yeah.
He's I don't think he's as old as me, but he's close. And but anyway, we've had some good discussions. Turns out he is an anti-vaxxer. And I've never talked to an MD who was against vaccines. So we've had some interesting discussions. Turns out his wife is also an MD, is also an anti-vaxxer. They've got 4 kids, and not one vaccine has ever been administered to any of their kids. And so I was in to see him a few months ago, and he asked me if I had gotten my COVID vaccine. I said, nope. And feeling I was in good company
Right.
by saying that. And he says, we could take off these masks if you would get your vaccine. I looked at him, I said, have you gotten your vaccine? He goes, yes, I have. Really? You, Dr. Anti-Vaxxer, have gotten the COVID vaccine?
Yeah, what changed?
Well, he started telling me, this and that and whatever. And I'm thinking, all right, you have got to have better access to information than I do, because I get most of my stuff online, and he's got to have better access.
Yeah.
And so he was telling me some things, and I said, but my understanding is that the vaccine does not prevent you from getting it or spreading it.
Right.
And he kind of sidestepped that. He didn't address that. And I finally said, Doc, let me ask you one other question. He said, what's that? Has your wife gotten the vaccine? He goes, no, she hasn't. What about your kids? No, they haven't. This would be a great show. I'd like to have both you and your wife come on and discuss this. He says, well, that ain't going to happen.
Ah, too bad.
Because I still have to go home and live with her. Which now that I've told the whole world his name, he's probably in trouble right now.
Yeah.
But I would love to have a discussion about that. Robin had some great discussions, not about COVID because that wasn't around, but she would bring doctors on that would talk about vaccines and different things. And just there's good information out there.
Right.
On both sides of the argument. And I'd like to be able to present both sides of the argument so that you, the listeners, can make a decision for yourself.
Well, the government they're trying to force everybody. And why are they doing it? Why? Sure, they want to protect us from the viruses that are going around.
They do.
Now, however, there's so many other things that can take us out that they're not addressing.
Well, the big thing, driving to my other job during the morning, there's a local FM station that plays Christmas music. Not as much as what K-Heat Radio plays, which is all Christmas music all the time. Well, all the time from 6 a.m. to midnight. No interruptions whatsoever. It's just song after song after song after song. This station, and I'll call them, I'm not call them out, but it's KEZ 99. What is it? 90, 91.9, 99.1. It's got some nines
Something
and
like
ones in it. Yeah. Anyway,
That station. Okay.
yeah,
I
it's that
got it.
station.
Yeah.
Beth McDonald is the show host. She's been on air in the Valley for years. Used to listen to her before I ever moved away to Colorado, but she's got a good following or whatever. She's very liberal, and I don't have a problem with that. But she's very opinionated, and that's where the problem sometimes comes. But she's very much in favor of the vaccine, but she spews information that I know to be untrue. And where I have a problem with it is that she's relating this as if it's fact. And because she's on the radio, so many people just assume that she must be
knows.
correct.
Yeah.
But from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing from my sources is that COVID infections are up. The hospitals, especially in Arizona, are really being stretched right now, but yet nothing's being done. The point of that story was, and I almost missed it, some lady called her up, a listener called her up and wanted to talk briefly about vaccines. And so Beth is all over this. Yeah, okay, let's talk about it. And she says, well, I understand you've got to have either a vaccine or a recent test if you're going to fly into this country. Yes,
Right.
yes. And that's the way it should be. And I'm thinking, well, Donald Trump tried to do that, but he was a racist because of it. But okay, maybe, you see the light. But then this listener says, what about all the illegals that are coming across the border? Who's checking them? Well, so many of the illegals are just coming across the border. They're not even being apprehended. There are a bunch that are, but then they're being flown to different places around the country at our expense. So that's, again, another show. But Beth wouldn't even discuss that with her. She said, well, I don't know anything about that. It's time we need to play a song.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, but you've been talking about it. You've
Oh, my
been
goodness.
talking smack about it. At least address it. At least allow your listener to express their feeling. Have a little discussion here. But she just cut the listener off, and I thought, wow, how
Yeah.
sad. How sad.
Yeah.
You know, if you believe in the vaccine, I'm fine with that. But the facts are, not only are the hospitals in Arizona reaching capacity with COVID cases, but the biggest rise is those who have been vaccinated, who have COVID, who are in the hospital. So my understanding is the vaccine, while maybe it was intended to prevent you from getting it, they have discovered that it doesn't prevent you from getting it,
Right.
doesn't prevent you from spreading it, but it will hopefully lessen the symptoms if you do get it. Okay, that's fine, but call it what it is. And
Yeah.
there's a reluctance to do that. But you know, if people want to get it, I'm fine. Here's what I don't understand, and I'm looking for a prop here. All right, I'm going to make one up because I do have a prop, but it's away. So let's assume that this is a mask, and it's supposed to be worn over your nose
Right.
and over your mouth. And I see so many people wearing them like this. And then,
Guilty,
As-
Your Honor.
well, yeah, but if you're going to do that, why even have it? Because you're breathing through your nose. I know why you do it, because it's too hard to breathe with it over your mouth. But what was I watching? I guess I was watching a football game last night, and they were doing crowd shots, and they had some people like this, and then they had some people, they were protecting their chin. It wasn't even over their mouth or their nose, but they had it on. And I'm going, why? I don't understand that.
So they could get into the stadium.
Well, maybe,
You know.
but then take it off. You know, if you're going to wear it down there, because other people didn't have it on at all. But oh well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of discussion that needs to be had, and we invite that discussion to come to K-Heat Radio, whether you're pro or against, it doesn't matter. But I'd like for a discussion to take place, not a debate, because we don't know how to debate anymore
Yeah.
as a country.
You're right.
We don't even know how to discuss. You know, we tend, and I'm sure I'm guilty of it too. If what's coming out of your mouth isn't what I want to hear, I'm going to cut you off. You know, I don't want to do that. I like to have a discussion, and then let the audience decide what's best for them. Because I don't believe that there's one size fits all in this thing.
No, I believe in freedom of choice as well.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't care for the mandate. I appreciate the fact that there's somebody out there wanting to give us a cure for something that could take us out. You know, I appreciate that. Viruses are tough, but I want it to be my choice.
Well, and I think that's where a lot of the reluctance is coming from, is that don't tell me what to do. I was thinking about getting a vaccine, and all of a sudden you tell me I have to. Nah, I'm done. I'm not going to do it.
Well, you know, it kept changing.
Yeah. And continues to this day.
Exactly. You need them, you don't need to wear a mask. You need to wear 2 masks.
Yeah.
You don't need to wear a mask. You may get the virus. It won't spread. It could spread. I mean, who are you going to believe anymore?
Well,
That's
and
coming from the same source.
the same source, that doctor guy.
Yeah. I don't want to say his name falsely.
Yeah.
You can't believe the guy.
Yeah. And he says it when he changes his mind, he never addresses to what he said last week.
Right.
If he would say, you know, a report just came in that has made me kind of change direction on this because the report said this and that. And if that's the case, then maybe we should be leaning in this direction. He doesn't do that. He just changes his mind. And we're all supposed to follow him and not remember what he said just a week ago.
Well, he's asking us to believe in science.
Well,
however, science doesn't change that rapidly.
No. And and I believe in science as well, but what science are we to believe in?
Yeah.
The doctor that I go to, who's an MD, or his wife, who is opposite, and she's an MD. They both believe in science. So science doesn't even agree on this. So don't tell me to follow the science when in fact the science can't even agree. You know, I'd like to hear both sides of it though, and I haven't been able to do that. I would love to talk to this guy's wife. Maybe I'd just try and look her up. Last name Johnson should be easy to find.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Johnson. There's only one or two.
Yeah, yeah, with a doctor in front of him. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh well.
So, practices in the Phoenix area. There's probably only 30 or 40.
Of course, the thing is, she may not even carry his name. You know, she sounds like she may be pretty independent.
Very true.
So I don't know, but yeah, I'd love. We will, no matter what the topic, we will always have room for responsible discussion on any topic. So if you have a subject that you'd like to discuss, or you know of somebody who's really, really good at what they do and what they believe in and all this stuff, boy, send them our way. Because again, not to try and blow them up or make them look bad. I just like to have a discussion. So because I don't have all the answers, and I would like to get the answers. I really would. So anyway.
Yeah, we hear so many sides of an argument that what do you believe? Yeah. Even the experts change their mind.
Sure.
You know, so it's today's world, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and then, you know, we had lunch with an old guy yesterday named Popeye, who talked about he's a conspiracy theorist. And I think the older you get, the more you become a conspiracy theorist. You know, it just because it starts making sense. And it's kind of a scary thing. But, you know, as you get older, you're really tired of the BS. You know, tell me the way it really is.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you what your motives are, because that plays a big part in it as well. You know, the people that have funded the lab in Wuhan are now the same people funding the vaccines.
Gee, go figure.
Yeah. Yeah. That just smells. It smells very, very bad.
Well, and see how it comes out, you know.
Maybe it's a coincidence, but I'd like to have that discussion too. So Bill Gates, if you're out there,
give us a call.
Give us a call. The stage is yours, but you don't have the guts to do it.
There's a lot of them that don't have the guts to do it.
Yeah, and that's too bad.
Starting from the top down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Hoss, looks like we're gonna come to an end of another show.
Oh no. Well, folks, we're looking for show hosts. We've got a new advertiser that we spoke with yesterday. That's going to hopefully we're going to get him on as a show. Ernie, if you're out there, we're talking about you, brother. And so, you know, good things are happening. Again, if you want to listen to Christmas music and you're listening to this broadcast right now, and it's between December 1st and January 2nd, this is the place to get your fill of Christmas music, without a doubt.
It is the place. Commercial free.
Commercial free, absolutely. All right, my brother.
Well, Hoss, it's good talking to you again, as always.
Good talking to you.
You know, unfortunately, we have to do a Zoom thing, but, you know, whatever works, works.
I just need to get the K heat off my shoulders up into the clouds.
I will send you that background as soon as I get off the air.
Sounds good.
Sooner.
All right.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, look.
See you next time.
We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.